For those of you guys who don't know us, we are Mike and Kate Morice, born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago. We've got two little kiddos. Our son MJ, who's 4 3/4, according to him. He tells that to everyone when he meets him. And we have a daughter, Lola, who's going to be 2 next month. So, yep, they're obviously not here this weekend, so we got them back home.
Thank the Lord.
So we're having a lot of fun this weekend.
Not that much fun.
Just see those annuities coming through, but anyway. But I grew up in Chicago, like I said, in the suburbs of Chicago. Went to school at Loyola University, studied marketing, played D1 volleyball there. And once I was done with college, I went overseas and I played professional volleyball over in Austria. And my career was kind of cut short with an injury, a few blood clots in my right arm, really crazy story. But when I got done there, I came back to the States and I started working in the pharmaceutical industry. And I was doing pharma sales. And I was traveling all over the country. And I was building a business for another guy. I was on that hamster wheel in life where it didn't matter how hard I was running. I felt like I was in that same spot year after year after year. Has anyone ever felt like that before? Yeah? Cool. And so I was kind of lost. So I started looking for other opportunities in sales, and I just kept on getting the door slammed on my face, interview after interview. And it wasn't until my aunt, some of you guys may know her, Diane Lampe, who's right here, and she was just speaking upstairs and killed it. So it was awesome. And she gave me a phone call, and it was an early morning. It was like before the gym, and she asked me like, "Hey, how are things going? What are you up to?" And I was looking great, right? Pharmaceutical sales, it sounded really good, but really I just had that quiet life of desperation inside. And that's when she was like, your aunt does pretty well, right? And I'd seen her house, I'd seen the cars that she drove, and she's like, no, you should maybe take a look at my tax returns. And so she flew me down to Dallas to meet some of the people that she does business with, Jake and Belle Krause, and a lot of others. And I started seeing the culture, the leadership, the training, the mindset was so different than any other company that I had been to. And I fell in love with it. So I came back to Chicago after that trip. I got my license and I worked what we call it in the moonlight, part-time in the evenings and the weekends. And I started making more money on the weekend than I was during the week. And like I said, I fell in love with the training, the mindset, the perspective, the culture. And so it made it a no-brainer for me to make that transition out and just build a life.
So that trip that Diane flew Mike down to Dallas, and he came back from that trip talking about things that I didn't think were ever like PC or okay to talk about in corporate, because that was my background, corporate, IT sales. And he came back talking about like our faith as a couple, our prayer life as a couple, what we wanted for ourselves and for our family, like what goals and dreams we had. And I was just floored. I was really impressed by that. And I think I thought it was like health insurance. I didn't really care at that point. I was just like, let's go. We're all in. I wanted to quit my job before I even had my license. And Diane and Mike were both like, pump the brakes. It's going to be okay. So, I did get licensed right away. I actually took my test the day that I met Andy. I passed the first time. Back when you had to go in person. And honestly, it was hard not quitting right away. It was really hard not quitting because I'm a little impulsive. But it really taught us a little bit about sacrifice. And we're going to talk about that today quite a bit. Once we started, here and we were licensed, he quit, we started attending the hotspots every single week. And even though I was working full-time, I was there every single week. Rain, snow, tornadoes, whatever, we were there. And, conventions, all of that good stuff. I never missed once until Lola and MJ were born, good excuse. But once we were, I think 23, July of 23, after Lola, we made the decision for me to leave the job, my full-time job, and that was probably the best decision we've ever made because it took away that pressure. It gave us a little bit more of a good, what do you want to call it? Risk? Good risk, right? So we're excited to talk to you guys today about what it takes to build your business nationwide, not just in your hometown, but nationwide. So I think expand your front lines. So we're going to share what it takes to build a business nationwide, what we intentionally focus on when we go see our team, and how we determine who to prioritize.
So what it takes. We are at war. And we're not playing around. We're taking this thing dead serious. And there's always going to be a sacrifice in whatever you do. You can either sacrifice the goal, or you can make sacrifices for the goal. And you don't want to make your goals too small. You don't want to get into an easy crowd. Because if you make those goals too small, you'll have small problems stop you. And if you don't feel like you need much in this life, you probably don't need to become much. Because it's never about the goal or the achievement, but it's about who you become in the result. And we get to see amazing examples here at the Alliance of who we want to be able to grow into and become down the road. And I know Kate and I, we each have our own goals that we line up together, though. And when we put them together, there's this compound effect that just makes them massive. And they say you want to make your goals one size too big, so you have to grow into them. So, Kate, what do you want to talk about that?
Something I think a lot of us probably feel, I'm going to ask for a show of hands. Y'all feel like you were meant for more than just sitting behind a desk, making somebody else money, right? A lot of us feel like we were made for more. I have always felt like God had a bigger plan for my life and for our life as a couple, for our family, than just going to a 9-to-5, putting the work in, typing some numbers in, sending out some emails. Like, that wasn't what I envisioned for my life and for our life. I always wanted to find a home that would be able to give me a platform to reach our goals and dreams. And so when we found the Alliance, we really felt like we had found our home. We wanted to plant our flag here, and we have. And thank God, because it's been amazing. I hated not being able to contribute at my last job to building our business when I was stuck there. I hated it. And now that I'm not able to, it's like the best thing ever, being able to help our team and help support him from behind the scenes. But I just really feel like God's, he's guided us to where we're at. So, I don't remember where I heard this, but God didn't intend for any of us to live ordinary lives, right? So let's rewind about 2.5 years. When I was working, I was making decent money. Not great, but decent. It was okay. But I was miserable. I was having panic attacks. It was impacting our relationship. It was impacting being a mom. And, when we were able to hit that breaking point and I left corporate, it allowed us to take the risks we weren't able to take previously fully because we had that safety net in my salary. Have you guys felt that before? They say go big or go home. And we were able to go big instead of staying home. Prior to leaving, I was okay with him traveling. It was like, yeah, cool, go do it. But I was never like, you need to be out there on the a regular basis. And so after I left, it became not like okay, that's cool thing to do. It was like, no, this is a necessity. We have to do this if we want to grow. It would have been easier for me to say, hey, stay home and help me with the kids, because that's more convenient, right? It's more comfortable. But in the bigger picture, we knew it made more sense for him to travel. And even when it would have made more sense financially to stay home and not travel, not spend, money on plane tickets and hotel rooms and all that, we chose the opposite. We chose to get uncomfortable and to put ourselves in those positions where, we were forcing ourselves to grow. We knew the business would not benefit from paying the mortgage on time, but it would benefit from us being intentional with how we used our money and our time. There's a story I heard Andy Andrews talk about one time. It's called Burning the Boats. Have you guys heard of that? Yeah. So for those that haven't, I'll explain it. Hernan Cortez was a Spanish conquistador, and in 1519, he and his men landed in Mexico. And he turned to them and he says, "Burn the boats." What this did was it created absolute commitment and it eliminated retreat. So they had no option other than to defeat the Aztec Empire or conquer the Aztec Empire, which they eventually did achieve. This story really serves as a powerful metaphor for complete commitment and elimination of escape plans to ensure focus on a goal.
And you can't steal second base with your foot still on first. So every opportunity for growth, there's always going to be a risk.
So this year we made a lot of strategic decisions that most people would say you shouldn't do that. That's not financially responsible. However, we did make those decisions with the help of our upline, with the help of our mentors, because we knew even though it would put us in uncomfortable positions, it was worth it in the long run. So let's take like the estate planning seminars. It's a simple example. On average, you have to invest about $5,000 in the marketing. We invested about $2,000-ish in furnishing our office, around $1,000 in other supplies, the papers, clipboards, pens, all that good stuff. So our thought process was, worst case scenario, we're out about $8,000. It's not the end of the world, right? It's not comfortable, but it's not the end of the world. But the best case scenario would be that we would do really well, like Jake and Belle Krause, or Mark and Nicole Burrows, or I'm going to miss lots of people, but, and just maybe we would issue millions in annuities.
Actually, 2.1 million to be exact in the last 6 months. That's why we're going to have a lot of fun this weekend.
And to be clear, we're not saying just go and quit your job. Please don't do that. Just talk with your upline and always consult them before making any big decisions.
And we get it. We were afraid of burning the boats. People are hesitant to do that because people will criticize them. I mean, heck, we've had lots of criticism. Previous bosses, friends, even family members. Well, maybe not all family members. Diane, remember when they all thought they were crazy, and now they just think we're smart, right? And even my dad now, who's seen her build a business and now me build a business, whose office do you think he's coming around to start getting involved with? It's like estate planning, trust. So one thing that I encourage you to always remember, that what people think of you is actually none of your business.
Facts.
So to step into the financial side, kind of switching gears a little bit on this, how we built this nationwide. We paid bills late to buy plane tickets and to pay for hotels. We sacrificed comfort because we had the vision of our future. We had the big picture in our head of where we wanted to be down the road. We racked up credit card debt, knowing that if we continue to master the basics, master the mundane, grow, build relationships with people across the country, that we could follow the footsteps of the ones that are board members, that are partners. If we just didn't give up, we knew it'd be worth it. And we had fears with all of those decisions that I just talked to you about on the outcome of what would happen, and we still do. But behind every fear, there's an opportunity for growth. And there's also a best case scenario that can change everything. And the only way that you can grow and have a shot at that best case scenario is by taking action, because the universe rewards action. So you need to experience the fear, expect the challenges, expect the roadblocks, and just do it anyway. So there's an exercise that we like to do on the outcome of certain fears to help us kind of get through this a little bit better. So when you have a fear, the next time you have a fear of something, look at the possible negative outcome of that fear, and then imagine the exact opposite, the most positive outcome, the best case scenario, and imagine that as the true result. So here are some of our fears when we first started building our business. So, fear, buying plane tickets with money we didn't have.
Best case scenario, finding a rock star in your team, hopefully in a more tropical location than Chicago, and you build a relationship.
Fear, not being out in the field, making sales to bring in the money, hit the AP.
Best case scenario, you take a trip to see a sharp potential recruit and they start building a massive team.
Fear, risk of embarrassment for recruiting someone with the 3-foot rule when you're out with family and friends.
Best case scenario, your family sees you recruiting a super sharp, young, charismatic person who becomes your top rising star.
The only way you will get a best case scenario or growth in this business or in life is by experiencing the fear and doing it anyway.
So every task we do here is super intentional. We're intentional with our words, we're intentional with our actions. I think most of us can realize this business is an inch by inch business, right? It's not, you might see some overnight successes, but it's not overnight. Trust us. We are always going for just one more recruit, one more city to add to the trip, one more phone call, one more person to convention, because those all add up, right? So let's talk a little bit about what Mike does when he travels.
So travel is not an option if you want to build it big. It's a requirement, for sure. And do not wait until you can afford it. You need to be able to put purpose first, and profit will come later. It's kind of a hard thing to hear, right? Put purpose first, and profit will come later. So when first getting started in travels, I needed to keep costs down as much as possible. So I'd find the cheapest flights. I would do the Frontier, the Spirit, and there's a little trick I used to do. I would, sometimes you get charged per bag if you bring it on board for any of those airlines. So I would bring a laundry bag, just a simple light laundry bag. So I could put the backpack I would use in the field plus a small duffel bag. And instead of having 2 bags, I'd combine them into one. So I didn't have 2 bags. They couldn't charge me for that one. I threw it into one bag and I'd smash that thing in that little box right there. And I made the requirement. So I only had to pay for one. So I would do stuff like that. Or I would bring powdered meals, like my protein meals. I would make sure that I wouldn't have to pay for my breakfast. I didn't have to buy my breakfast. So I could afford to buy lunch for me and my agent when I was out in the field. Because I wanted to be able to say, hey, look, I want to be able to show you that this can work, that we can do this. I would sacrifice those little things behind the scenes so I can grow, so I can get out there and build a relationship, because it's about the relationships. You have to build a relationship business here. So when I go out and I see our agents across the country, I get to see who they're around. I get to decide who I want to recruit around them, who they're hanging out with. But when we go in the field, you get that windshield time. I get to see a piece of their world. I get to see their words. I get to see how they react to a door slamming on their face or another agent calling them in between. I get to see all of that stuff in between all that extra work. But what that does, it builds a relationship, because now everyone's starting to see that, hey, we can deal with this stuff. We can handle this stuff. It's a new skill set that you have to be able to grow. And when I'm out there, yes, I'm building that relationship. I'm making it personal. because this business is personal. And these are our lives we're talking about. Because, again, this is not just a business, not just a fun trip to a new city, but it's a lifestyle. And when I go out and about, I go for the mission, not the money. Another big thing that's helped me grow nationwide is not only do I go travel to my team, but I travel with my team. So when I go to boot camps or hotspots, you guys might have seen my name pop up randomly on theallianceevents.com. I will just do like these spurts of travels every once in a while. So what I'll do is, for the gentlemen on my team that want to grow and hit other cities too, I'll take care of the hotel room. I'll get 2 beds. I'll say, hey, I got an extra bed. Come crash. I'll take care of the meals. I'll help them out because they're spending some money to fly or drive or whatever it is to get out there. But when they're coming out to those trainings, those hot spots, those boot camps, now it's like the in-between time is happening again. I got to build that relationship even more. And they're seeing like that piece of my life on what I'm doing to build this business nationwide. And it's just like the same thing if you were doing dials at home and you want an agent to watch you to do dials. That's the exact same thing here, but instead of just doing the dials and having them watch you do it, now they're seeing you build a life. And that's how they can start copying you if they decide to and start making those decisions. So it's all about that relationship, the relationship business. Kate?
So even though I'm not traveling with him all the time as much as I want to be, I really do try to spend some time building relationships with the ladies on our team or spouses, like wives of, our agents. Especially ladies or spouses. I'll get on the phone with them, I FaceTime, I check in with them, every once in a while on text just to make sure they're doing good. And if Mike's actually recruiting somebody nearby, like he'll just be taking recruiting calls in between appointments while he's like chomping carrots at lunch. I'll have him put it on speaker and I just say hi. I like to show the friendliness, welcome them, make them feel like it's a fun place to be because, our motto is have fun, make money, make a difference. And you spend so much time here, we might as well make it fun. But I like to get to know them as a person and develop friendships as quickly as possible. You really should hear Mike recruit. He does a really good job of making it fun because this business should be fun. So our CEO, Andy Albright, most of you probably have heard of him, wrote this book, Millionaire Maker Manual. We call it the Green Book. What he wrote in here is every agent has an 11 times greater possibility of success when the spouse is sitting side by side equally as excited about this business. Because, shocker, typically spouses have a huge impact on the attitude and behavior of each other.
That's dang true.
Crazy, right?
Crazy, right? So Kate always had this attitude of knowing that there's more for us out there to build a better life. And that always pushed me to grow. And I wanted that life even more after seeing her attitude towards it. So anytime I'm bringing on a new agent, like I'm finding out about the spouse or the partner or the boyfriend or the girlfriend or whatever, because I want to make sure that they're coming. They're coming to this event. They're coming to a hot spot. They're coming to a boot camp, whatever it is. Because even when I'm having that conversation with that agent, I'm asking them, I'm saying, look, if you're going out and about outside of your normal business hours, don't you think your spouse would probably want to know what you're up to? What you're fighting for, right?
So how do we determine who to go see and when and help grow? We rank them. We rank people as we go so we put more time and energy into the correct people. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. So we listen to what everyone we recruit says, but more importantly, we watch what they do. Facts. Again, in the Green Book, Andy talks about being ready, willing, and able, and then also being faithful, available, and teachable. So ready, they can go, available, or willing, wants to go, get along, and be a team player. Able, a person that's capable now. Faithful, people who trust our organization. Available to help themselves, others, and their community. And teachable and trainable on our systems. So ask yourself, what are you doing? What are you doing to earn your upline's time? Are you putting in your hours? Or are you only working like a couple hours a day? Do you have an attitude of gratitude? Or are you grumpy all the time? Are you consistently showing up to trainings, to hotspots, to conventions? Are you still willing to put in the time and effort day in and day out, even when you know that this business is inch by inch and it's not going to give instant gratification? You hear leaders all the time here talk about how this business looks a lot like bamboo, right? All of a sudden, you just see this leader shoot up out of nowhere, but what you don't see is all the behind the scenes work that they're putting in for years and years. So just like bamboo, what are you feeding yourself? Are you allowing negativity space in your mind, or are you feeding yourself positivity and encouragement by reading daily? Are you associating with people who are giving you negative encouragement, like encouragement to leave this business, or positive encouragement, like you can do it? Are you following the 8 steps daily? Because every decision you make will either get you closer or farther away from your goals. So just ask yourself, is what I'm doing today getting me closer or farther from where I want to be in a year or 2 or 5 from now?
So we focus on who deserves our time, not who needs it. Everyone needs help, right? So we take a look at what they're doing. Do they show up to their local hotspot every week? Do they communicate with us? Are they bringing new people into the business? Are they trying to build their life, their lifestyle? Are they on the weekly national calls? Are they calling me during TWC? And the ones that do that, I don't think any of them are here this weekend.
The big no-no.
So I can talk some junk right now. And who's following the 8 steps the best? The 8 steps: personal use, work, listen, read, attend all meetings, be teachable, be accountable, and communicate with a positive mental attitude. I know those like the back of my hand because I live those. So which ones are they following? A big one for us is reading daily. We've created a culture with our team and also some group chats with some guys where we do a daily reading, a little green check mark in our Telegram group that we have. So anytime there's a green check mark, we'll get new people that join our team, and they'll see these green check marks before we're explaining it. And I think we've had some agents that just put in the green check marks anyway afterwards, and I think they're just like trying to be part of the team and stuff. So it's kind of funny. We got to call them and explain them what it is. But when you do your daily reading, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever it is, like put a green check mark. And so we're kind of holding each other accountable. And there's a small group chat that I've got with a handful of guys, with Gerdick, Mark Burrows, Tim Bird, Kendall Brown. And every time, we listen to audio, we put, the headphones in there. When we work out, we put another emoji for that. And then when we read, it's a green check mark. So we're kind of holding each other accountable for that daily habit. And this has helped kind of with the growth mindset of our team, because when we have more people growing together, there's power in crowds. And when you do that reading, audio, and association, those 3 things, there's magic there when you combine those 3 things. Something happens for people when you start getting them to do those 3 things. Read the right books, listen to audios, and get around the right people. So we're looking for people who want to follow that, who want to grow, but grow together as a team. So, my travels and the stuff we're talking about here, none of this works perfectly, no, right? No one bats 1,000. We've come up with plenty of ideas to get our team closer or to grow. That just hasn't worked. I've traveled. I've gone to hotspots to go meet with the person that I recruited across the country and have them not show up. I've gone in the field across the country with people that I thought was the one. Go in the field for a day with them and then MIA the next week. I learned a lot from all that stuff. But I would always think, like, when I'm out and about, like, I'd always have, like Diane was talking, there's two wolves right in your head. It's one, the positive or the negative. Which one are you going to feed? So yeah, I'd feed the positive, and I would say, you know what, I'm learning from this. You know, I'm gonna win or I'm gonna learn. So I would learn how to just do it better. I'd build better relationships. I'd learn how to build others. Because I was doing it, I was taking action. It got me to grow out of the mindset that I had to the person that I needed to become to get others to run with me and do this thing. So it took new skill sets, new attitudes, and new perspectives.
Yeah, and going back to it doesn't work perfectly every time. It's not how many times you fall down, right? It's how many times you get back up and you keep pushing through. When Belle and Mark were talking about it earlier, you know, you hit that valley of despair, and most people will just give up and start over on something else. And then when they hit that valley of despair again, they do the same thing. But if you just push through and learn, I promise it will get better. And so kind of switching things a little bit from a wife's perspective. So I stay home with the kids full time. And then I help out with, you know, our seminars and a little bit of like administrative stuff around the team or around the office. But when it comes to supporting him in his travels, I make it a point to never tell him that he can't go. And I make it a point to tell him to go, actually. You know, they say distance makes the heart grow fonder, and sometimes you need some distance. So,
Facts.
Hey, I know that even though I want to be out there, I mean, I want that more than anything. We're in a very, very short season of life where the kids are young, and it's important for me, you know, that I'm home with them and I don't miss those firsts. And thank God that we do this business and we have that ability for me to stay home. I'm so grateful for how hard you work so that I can do that. But I support him in different ways. So I hold down the fort. When he's gone, you know, I'm not ever like, come home, I need you to be here, don't go there. Like if I can't make it with him, I'm never telling him no. So I make it easy for him to get out there and build. And I also work very hard to make it so that he wants to come home. So I'm just really encouraging of him being out there and building and supportive of that. Also over the years, like I think I was looking for that golden nugget. So I would be talking to like all the wives and moms in the business, like, so what's the secret? Tell me, like, what do I need to do? And I never got it. I think you just get little bits and pieces from you know, everybody. We learn from everybody along the journey. But the biggest thing that I've learned is that every person has such a different situation that you just kind of have to work it out and figure out what works best for you. And consulting your mentors is incredibly helpful. So something else that I figured out that we could maybe do instead of me traveling was opening our home to agents on our team or people that are, you know, friends and family that we work with. But having people come stay with us and, you know, break bread with us, eat dinner, get to know our kids, play with our dog. Like our kids call Kendall, Candle. They become part of the family, and I think it just takes the relationship to that next level. And it's just really important. So it, you know, and then outside of the relationship, it also shows the agents really what that day-to-day looks like and how much effort and time Mike really is putting in. He's not just, you know, in between calls, like going and like turning on Netflix or, you know, snacking. He's out there like literally back-to-back calls. Doesn't even have time to go to the bathroom sometimes. So it shows them a different perspective and shows them how much time and energy really does go into it. They see his reactions to a rough day in the field or someone quitting on him when a chargeback hits. And even though it wasn't always pleasant for Mike to be vulnerable with his agents, you know, you kind of want to be the tough leader, like I don't know, prideful. It really, I think it did the opposite. It showed that it's okay. It happens. Like, shoot happens. Try not to swear because my kids will maybe see this. And drawing back that curtain really exposed what he goes through and actually what it takes. So one last thing I want to talk about is building friendships with leaders and how we did that. And I think one of the biggest things was never missing conference and never missing the trips. So thanks for working hard. Because those trips, the all expense paid trips, guys, if you've not been on them, I would encourage you, bust your butt so that you can get there, because not only are the trips just like amazing, but the association that you get when you're there, it's unmatched. It's unlike anything. You can't, well, I'm sure you could, but it'd be hard to pay your way to get there in that sort of association. We've built friendships, lifelong friendships. You know, some of these girls, even in this room, are like sisters to me. And I just am so grateful for this opportunity that we get to build relationships like that. The only time we've ever missed conference, the only time you've ever missed conference was when MJ was born, because we gave birth that day. Diane actually had to accept our AM rings for us. And then the only other one I missed was, I think I was too pregnant to get on a plane. But you know, what excuses are you making for not showing up to conference? If you're making excuses, like, just ask yourself, like, can I find a way to get there? Because getting there is always going to be way more impactful, not only for your growth, but building the relationships that are going to help keep you through the really hard times. We've made a choice together to keep showing up, even when we are tired, even when we're broke, we're overwhelmed, when life is lifing, because it does. We still show up because we've made the commitment, and frankly, we don't have a plan B. This is our only option. And like Mike mentioned earlier, you can't build this at all without growing your team. So
why travel? Why travel and build your life this way? First off, meeting your team face-to-face is absolutely crucial to your growth. So they say promotions for entry-level work anywhere, it's about 90% dependent on your skills as an individual. Promotions for next level, like management, is 50% of those 50% individual skills and 50% human relations or people skills. For promotions as a top-level executive, it takes 20% of the individual skills and about 80% of the human relations or people skills. It's almost a total switch, which is kind of crazy, right? The higher you rise on that management level. So where are you focusing on? What books are you reading? Where are you trying to grow yourself, your business? So you need to grow to become that person that you want to be, and you grow by doing, taking action. Don't wait until there's 12 white doves flying over your head in the shape of a cross to take some action here. Just do it. So in this business, you know, you hear it, we're in the people business, and oh, by the way, we sell insurance products. So in the hard times, in those moments where it's just been tough, and the easiest, most convenient thing would just be closing up shop, quitting. We pushed through. And we didn't build this business, build our relationships behind a screen or over the phone. That's maybe how some of them started, but we worked our way in to get those relationships in person. It's a lot different when you can sit down with someone, break bread, have a coffee, a beer, whatever, hang out with them, get to know about their spouse, their family, their background. That's where the relationship and the connection starts. You do that, that's where your team is going to start growing. So, how do you keep that momentum? You follow up relentlessly. Sacrifice comfort, but keep your vision positive of your future. So, kind of a close to action with you guys. I encourage you, book that next trip. Look at your team. Who do you have? Maybe there's someone that's here this weekend that lives in a different state, and you decide that, hey, you're going to go see them in a couple weeks. Help them go run the field. Get a boot camp together. Do a hotspot. You just never know if they might be your next shooting star. So your leader is not in your living room. You have to be able to get out and go find them. We are Mike and Kate Morice. Let's grow together.